You know, this in general, it kind of makes me think like, what was the game that they wanted to make? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's kind of two different games.
Yeah, I believe you're right in that this is not different from the game you wanted. Now, Swery reportedly didn't want any combat in the game, which, as tedious as the combat is sometimes, kind of make this game a driving simulator and a gossip simulator, you know?
Right. Which I gotta admit, I would be far more interested in.
Have you caught any of the recent brouhaha among the Let's Player community?
I guess not. No.
Well, PewDiePie...
Right. Oh, I did hear something about this. Yeah. He's lost some endorsements or something.
Yeah, he did this really racist Nazi thing as a joke. And of course, certain people think because it was a joke, it doesn't count as racist or anti-Semitic.
Right.
So, and also some people don't understand what censorship means. So the fact that he's lost a lucrative deal, they consider that censorship.
Right.
He's a fucking millionaire. I honestly could not give a shit about any hardship he's experiencing.
Yeah.
He's a millionaire for talking over videos and making rape jokes, which I was already on the I'm not on this guy's train thing. But he's got buddies in the community who've been making posts like serious talk or, let's discuss what's going on, and this is not what their channel is normally about, and they're like, we shouldn't jump to judge, I know this guy, he's not really racist, but he did racist shit. You don't get to say he's not racist. I mean, support your friends, but... And so, like, there's this kind of string of high-paid YouTubers or buddies in their way, and so everyone's coming to his defense. Man, just let him have repercussions for his fuck-up. Christ.
Who's the fucking music here? Well, also, it seems to me like... I don't know, my exposure to PewDiePie comes through Resurgence, which, like, if anybody's watching this and they haven't seen Resurgence, definitely go check them out. I use them as a tag in some of our videos because I think this would appeal to... I think there's a big overlap between people would enjoy our stuff and their stuff. They're obviously MST3K fans, and they do similar stuff to this. But in any case, I think it was them. Maybe it was something that linked to one of the videos they did, like bitching about PewDiePie. But somebody did a video that was, can you guess which of these names are PewDiePie videos and which ones are Cannibal Corpse songs? And I'm a Cannibal Corpse fan, and I got it wrong. So, like, it was, I was just like, this guy is just disgusting, and, like, my girlfriends at the time, like, 13-year-old son loved him, and I'm like, okay, I get that, like, I probably would have liked him at 13 too, but, like, how, beyond that, how does he have an audience,
I believe the word edgelord, I think he falls into that subcategory. His audience are mostly kids, which is one of the reason people objecting to what he's doing are, like, a little extra upset, because you just paid someone to say all Jews should die and laughed like it was funny, and these kids aren't gonna think, gosh, the joke is that isn't it funny that someone would believe that? I don't believe that. No, it's kind of like how Family Guy's ironic horribleness sometimes goes into just regular horribleness.
Yeah.
And kids are not really good at picking out the levels.
Yeah.
And plus, it's a little bit mean, because the people he paid to do that did it sort of in good faith. They weren't Americans. They were just they're on Fiverr. PewDiePie paid them $5 to hold up the sign, and they were kicked off Fiverr for it. And they were, maybe that's okay. I don't know, but I have a feeling they were a bit ignorant of the significance of what they were doing. And if they got repercussions, then he should get repercussions. And since he was the instigator, he should get stern repercussions, in my opinion.
On the other hand, though, I have to say, it kind of reminds me of the whole Don Imus thing, right? It's like Don Imus got in so much trouble for that one incident, but, like, if you look at his career, it didn't seem significantly different from anything he had done the week before, you know? It was kind of like, I find it odd that corporate dollars pull out just if somebody happens to get a media story about them. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I was fine giving PewDiePie money the whole time he was doing rape humor, like horrible, horrible, vile rape humor, but this thing caught the media's attention, so now I'm gonna pull my money.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, that's part of how it goes, and it's a little sad, but major social change doesn't start to happen until there's economic consequences. I mean, that's been my observation in my lifetime. You know, and like for gay rights, you know, the fact that there's advertising targeting us is a good sign that, you know, and they're standing up when boneheads write in and say, oh, it's disgusting, I'll never drink Coke again because you had two men standing next to each other without saying no homo.
I remember when on the Ellen show when she came out and advertisers started pulling away.
So there's progress of a sort. Of course, advertisers still only want the acceptable view of gay, which is Neil Patrick Harris. And
only Neil Patrick.
And George Takei when he's not talking about the internment camps.
Are we done with it now? We've had enough on it, subtitles? Is that...
I wasn't paying attention to see what the end prize is, but each of these gets a prize of some sort, usually a unique weapon.
We finally went into, like, Stargate transport beam, so I think that means we're done.
Yes.
Yeah, alright. Completed. Okay.
Of
course it said A.
There are three, I think, A, B, and C. The enemies are tougher in there, too. I don't know if you could tell, because he was also using bigger weapons. He has yet to encounter the most pain-in-the-ass enemy, the wall crawler. It's got a lot of hit points, and it's slightly resistant to harm from certain weapons, and if you know its pattern and have the right weapons, they're not that hard, but if you don't know that, you can go through all of your ammo in every single gun, and really you have to bash her on the head with the guitar.
That does not sound enjoyable at all.
No, I'm really hoping this guy knows the good way to do it. Otherwise, you literally might be seeing 5 minutes per wall crawler.
So my issue, again, like, kind of what I was trying to say is, I don't even know who pulled out their money for PewDiePie, but,
Disney.
You know, if it's like, say, you know, just Kmart, right?
It was
I'm sure
Disney.
Kmart
it was Disney. And
Disney was backing
him?
Yeah,
I don't know why Disney was backing him. That was a poor choice.
I mean, I get money, I guess.
Well, yeah.
But it just, you know, it's like, to me, that is just an immediate, like, okay, Disney was okay with anything of his, which means they're just in it for the money. This means that I don't want to support Disney, you know? Like, them pulling out because of this seems so, like, I don't know, vacuous and meaningless, but it's, you know, whatever.
Well, I mean, there's historical context, too. Right now in America, we're experiencing a resurgence of blatant anti-Semitism.
Sure.
And for him to do that now is especially egregious. Now, he's Swedish, but that doesn't mean he's ignorant of the way the world is. He
Right.
shouldn't be. If he had a, and of course, half-assed non-apology was obviously what you're gonna get. But yeah, he lost some Disney money, and really that's it. I think YouTube has a tiered ad revenue system, and he got knocked down a couple, but he's still making enough money to live on. He was making enough money to live on before the tiered system existed, or before Disney backed him. So,
Sure.
poor him, but, yeah, I mean, in part, it was possibly straw that broke the camel's back, because obviously he was doing bad shit all along. Partially, it's the timing of, anti-Semitism in particular. And partly, yeah, you're right, it's just the one that gets attention. That's the one that starts causing repercussions after everything else. But his, part of his fan base are just, closing ranks, and, now Disney sucks, and YouTube is trying to censor him, and First Amendment, and blah, blah, blah. He's also Swedish, so our First Amendment right doesn't actually affect him.
Right.
And a millionaire, so our First Amendment right doesn't affect him. Let's see, cynical add-on. So, yeah, I guess there was eventually going to be an outcry. I mean, there was some outcry about how he was before, but mostly it was just us cuck SJWs going on about it, and that's it. But now other people have noticed, and yeah, that non-apology. I'm disappointed he's got people lining up behind him.
I knew this day would come. What do you plan to do with
Hold
it?
on here. I want to see this
I
scene
think she'd
play
be
out.
lovely smoked.
Yep. Smoking your own catch sounds like the makings of a very
Smoker,
tasty appetizer.
stick her tail in your mouth and light her up.
Us could never eat this much smoked salmon, right?
I've been stalking you. Can't help but notice you haven't gone to the town meeting.
So I thought I'd come out here in my wet overalls.
You might
Knew he
regret
was gonna
that
put it
later.
back, but
You're not gonna see a fish that big again anytime soon.
Oh, I have no regrets. I capture criminals, not fish.
Not so far.
I bet she was glad, glad that you're the one who caught her.
That's a strange sentiment.
Just keep the rod. Think of it as your trophy for catching
I
death.
know I've been murdered, but I'm glad it was from a capable murderer. Not an amateur.
well, but he put her back. so-
Yeah, I know. But, I mean, that was just an extension of the sentiment.
Yeah.
Just one final thought for me on the PewDiePie issue is the support of his buddies. I guess that's understandable, but the essence is, let's try not to judge people because that makes us as bad as them. We don't really know what's going on in someone else's heart, and I can be friends with people I disagree with, and that makes me a better person. Not quite that phrasing, but that's really the implication. And that is the response of people with no skin in the game. You know? People who want us to befriend the Nazis have no skin in the game. They don't understand the harm that's going on there.
Yeah, for sure. And so, like, I don't know enough details about exactly what went on, and it probably, like, you said that there were, like, people holding up signs and stuff, and I'm like, it's probably too much to go into here. But the other thought that I had is, I think there just comes a point where, as, like, kind of an adult in modern society, you have to realize, like, I can't just be defensive about everything that comes my way. I mean, there are some things where you evaluate them and it's like, okay, these people are being too touchy or, whatever, but I'm not gonna, so this doesn't really affect me. But, like, I think about some of the stuff that we've done, I've watched some of our older stuff, and there are things where I wince at it, and I'm like, man, and people have called me out on some of that stuff, and I'm like, I know, we try to do better, know, and it's like,
that's all you gotta do.
Like, I don't understand the whole kind of like apology, non-apology stuff. It's like, what does it hurt me to acknowledge that? Yeah, I've done and said stuff that were not what I would do now and not what I wish I had done. You know what I mean? It's like, the time I thought it was funny, I know better now. Like, that's not, but instead it's like, oh, this and oh,
well,
that.
there's a certain solipsism in it. It's like, I am the only one who exists. This didn't affect me, therefore your complaint isn't real. In fact, you're making it up to attack me, and I'm going to take that personally because I'm the only one who exists anyway. So if I have to make an apology, I'll do a pro forma apology because, my teacher, Miss Nancy, is standing behind me making me apologize for pulling a girl's pigtails. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But here, let me tell you what a good person I am in the process of that apology.
Right.
I'm the least racist person you know. That's the worst Trump I've ever done. He pulled that out very recently, and it was just as convincing as you think.
It seemed a little snuffleupagus.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, a friend of mine is a half person of color, and she kind of put it like, if a minority says that they're offended, it's really not your job to choose if they are or not. You know what I mean? Like it's they're offended, and so it's like, whether you can maybe necessarily change that or not, that's another issue. But like to put it as, to do this sort of backhanded, like, oh, well, it wasn't meant to be offensive, so therefore you shouldn't be offended. It's like, that doesn't mean anything.
I like the analogy of someone stepping on my foot. You step on my foot, I tell you, ouch. Because you didn't mean to step on my foot, you think that means that, you were not in the wrong. Whereas from my point, it's still hurting my damn foot. Get off my damn foot. I don't care about your motives. I don't care if you have a friend with no feet. Or I don't know how to draw that analogy that far, so I think I failed there.
Right.
But,
but no, yeah.
Just get your foot off my foot, and then if you really want, we can discuss whether you did anything wrong. But you know what? Even if it's accidental, it's still hurting my damn foot, and disbelieving me and thinking I'm looking for attention because I tell you're on my foot. It's just... Now, on the other hand, it is possible to look down and go, I'm not actually on your foot. There's a misunderstanding here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not a black and white situation, as it were. Because, I find the test is how they respond when you call them out, or when they get called out. Because even if it's a baseless call-out, the nature of the response tells you something about the person's character.
Right.
I once worked in a sexy clothing store, and customers would often come in and avert eyes and not want to look at me, and make their purchases and just sort of pretend no one can see them. So polite behavior there was different from other retail stores. Polite behavior was to stay where I could see them because I need to know if they need help, but to not really acknowledge them unless they came to me, right?
Yeah.
So I was there in this shop, empty shop. This black woman came in. She was shopping as usual. Her body language was the same as every other customer. I wasn't talking to her, and then she came up to me and told me that I wasn't asking to help her because she was black and that I was being racist. Now, I'm pretty sure that was a baseless accusation. I cannot, now looking back, I can't say for certain there wasn't, some element to it. I mean, if she'd been to 100 stores, and in every store she was treated that way, she had no way to know whether I was part of the pattern or just a coincidence.
Right.
So from her world, she got her foot stepped on.
Yeah.
I did not respond well, because I felt like I was being accused. I felt like I was being, my reputation was being impugned. I didn't yell at her. I didn't call her names, but I just sputtered and told her how many different ways she was wrong. She left and didn't seem satisfied. I felt bad.
Yeah. No, it's reminds me of there's there was a mock video about kind of the real victims of racism, and it's the white people who get called out when they're very well intentioned white people.
The fragile white people. Yes.
Yeah, and like at one point, some guy's telling a coworker, like, I can't remember, so he says something about like Hondurans or whatever, and the guy's like, oh, actually I'm from, and the guy just flips out and is like, I went to Berkeley, man.
Yes.
And, it's but yeah, it's being called racist is pretty off-putting.
It is not, however, the equivalent slur as certain folks have been trying to make it.
Right,
Like,
yeah, for sure.
Like, yeah, you're attacking me with slurs. No, I'm telling you just said something racist. That's offensive. No. And it is true, just like in that video, it is true. Often the person calling out gets in more trouble than the person who is being racist.
Yeah.
Or sexist or homophobic. I have been in the position of getting in trouble for telling someone that they were being homophobic. Like, you know what? This is bullshit.
Oh, good. We're going back to the lumber mill. Knew that would happen sometime this video.
Oh, yeah.